Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's live. Now, what I'm going to talk about today, I think is very important, and people quite often miss out on this because they're kind of too focused on doing one particular thing, and that's diversifying your portfolio. Now, whether you're in property, by the way, or you're in any other business, I think to diversify is extremely important. I'm sure you've heard the old saying, don't put your eggs in one basket, because if you do and the basket falls, then all your eggs might break, which is very painful. That's why it's important to make sure you diversify and spread the risk and also the return. And there's a number of reasons why you should do that. But in property, generally speaking, how it works is you use the 70-20-10 model, which works well. So you've got 70% of your asset base and your income usually coming from one particular property strategy, 20% from your secondary strategy, and 10% from your third strategy. And that kind of usually works extremely well. And then again, it's not an exact science, but you spend 70% of your time on the main one, 20-10. Same with in terms of the income. And I generally speaking, I don't think it's imperative that it's 70-20-10, but it should be there or thereabouts. Linked with that, I think what works really well is the Pareto Principle, which simply talks about that 20% of your work or customers or clients, whatever you want to call them, will generate 80% of your income, and 20% of your clients and customers and patients may cause 80% of your headache as well. So it's identifying those things and making them more lean, because what you want is to have a well-oiled machine. So coming back to property, simply speaking, what you want to be doing is diversifying into different strategies. Now, if you're new to property or you don't know much about property, there are quite a few different property strategies. And I did a whole compilation on YouTube, which I'm not going to run through today, but I think on that video, I had either 20 or 21 different strategies you could deploy in your business. And before I go any further, you don't want to deploy 21 strategies or 20 strategies. It's too much, but you want to pick up a few, which I think is extremely important. And before I go any further, I've got Ian Forsyth. Says, hi, Shaz, great to see you helping entrepreneurs achieve more. Look forward to catching up soon. Thank you very much, Ian. And Ian was very kind enough to do a interview with me during lockdown, and he's a very experienced business owner, entrepreneur, very well known in Peterborough. I always learn lots from him, so thank you very much for your kind words, Ian. And yes, of course, I look forward to catching up with you soon, because I think there is some stuff we can do together in property. Especially that you provide bathrooms, I think, and kitchens. So we should definitely talk. Ash Ajas says, hi, Shaz, very useful. Thanks. Ash, thank you very much for being on the live. Feel free to ask as many questions as you like. And then we've got Maz, who says, commercial to residential all the way. Absolutely, Maz. My preferred strategy and my main one, where I spent at least 70% of my time, is on commercial conversions. And you're absolutely right. I think it's a fantastic strategy. If done extremely well, you could end up in a situation where you end up having flats or apartments without using any of your own money. And at the end, if you want to refinance, you can pull all your money out, pay off the investors, and you own a chunk of or a proportion of the units you've created, which haven't cost you anything. So if you're buying like single lets and putting down a 25% deposit, you've got to find that cash first. And maybe you can only afford to do one every year or one every other year. So in 10 years, you might, if you're buying one every year, you've got 10 units, one every other year, you might have 5. If you do a commercial conversion, within 18 to 24 months, you could end up having half of 15, 20 units. And if you do it one unit at a time, Maz, it's going to take you a lot longer to get there. So I totally agree with you. You're absolutely right. And then Maz says, need help though? Is there any way to get one-to-one advice? Absolutely, Maz. You can email me. I will add my email into the comments box. Drop me an email and we can have a chat offline. So more than happy to help. So going back to the strategies. So obviously one is commercial conversions, and another one is simple buy-to-lets. Then you've got rent-to-rent. Then you've got rent-to-SA, which is rent-to-service accommodation. Then you've got service accommodation in itself. Then you've got HMOs, then you've got land gains, then you've got option agreements, you've got assisted sales, goes so on so forth. That there's so many different. You can even be a letting agent. So there's quite a few different strategies that you can deploy in your property business. It's finding out which ones you're most interested in, which one you're passionate about, which ones you think are going to work best for you, which one you've got experience in. So it's finding out all of those things and then picking the strategy that works best for you. I always say, because sometimes people come to me because they're energized by going on a particular course on a weekend or join a mastermind, and they want to deploy 3 strategies in one go. Bad idea. Start with one, see that through, and then go into the second one, the third one, build it over time. Rome was not built in a day for very good reason. I don't think you and I should try and replicate that either. So slow and steady usually wins the race. Now, when you're obviously looking to diversify, you also want to be thinking about location. So having all of your property in one condensed area in a particular density doesn't work well. For financing, it's not going to work well, especially as you have a larger portfolio. So thinking about where you want to invest, is it in one particular geographical area, into regionally? You want to go into different parts of the country. So think about that. Are you urban? Are you rural? Are you somewhere in between? Are you targeting students? So and I'll come on to that very shortly. So the first thing that you want to diversify, I think, which is the kind of asset type. What are you looking to buy? Is it commercial property? Is it residential? Is it student accommodation? Is it apartments? So think about the type of asset type that you are targeting, and then look at diversifying. So don't have just all 1-bedroom flats or 2-bedroom flats. Have some houses. Possibly think about HMOs. Possibly think about having some commercial property. Think about obviously also converting commercial property into residential. So and then linking that, of course, with the geographical location. Sometimes people think properties are cheaper up north, which they are, but they live down south. Let's just say, let's call Peterborough South for today. I know people living in London think Peterborough is somewhere up north, but if you're in Peterborough and you're investing in Newcastle, properties are cheaper in Newcastle. But are you willing to travel there on a regular basis if you have to? Nothing ever is hands off. You'll have to go there. Are you willing to go there, look at properties? If something goes wrong, drive there, meeting people. If you're doing building work, you have to work with contractors. Are you willing to make that journey? If you're not on a regular basis, don't invest there. Keep it more local to you. So geographical location is extremely important. Don't just be tempted by properties are cheaper in a particular area. I'm just going to go there, because what I've just shared with you near the start, following on from Maz's comment, is you can be pretty much anywhere and use BRR, get all your money out and have property for free. I've been in business for 20 years. I can tell you, you can't do that in any other business unless you use seller finance and you've got third-party funding from a bank or another lender available. But even that's hard work. It requires effort. Property, I believe, is easier as long as you're clear on your strategy and you can make it work. Scaling up a business from 1 center to 25 centers is a lot harder compared to getting from 1 unit, i.e. 1 property, to, I'd say, 50 to 100 properties. You'll do that quicker and it'll be easier than scaling up to 20, 25 different locations in terms of your business. We've got Rajesh Puri, who says, hi Shaz, hi Rajesh, totally interested in SA and commercial conversions. Look forward to having a chat with you. Absolutely, Rajesh. Feel free to get in touch whenever you like. Any question you've got, post them here tonight, or email me, or send me a message through LinkedIn. I am a bit guilty. I don't check LinkedIn every single day. But if you do send me a message, or I will respond via LinkedIn. But if you want a quicker response, best to email me. I'll get through to you quicker in terms of my response. Then obviously, if you in terms of diversifying, it's looking at the kind of demographic that you're targeting. Are you targeting single people? Are you targeting young families? Are you targeting students? Are you targeting young professionals? Are you targeting people who've retired? So think about the kind of demographic you want to target, and there's pros and cons to having different demographics. But again, diversify into more than one particular demographic for kind of very obvious reasons. But the way that you work with and the mindset people have who are retired will be very different to somebody who's a student. So look at all the pros and cons and figure out which one works better for you. Above and beyond that, so we look at asset class, we've looked at the location, we've looked at demographic. Then the other important one is thinking about your strategy in terms of, are you looking to buy and hold, or are you looking to buy and sell? Now, of course, I would say do a bit of both. So get into flips, get into buying land with planning or without planning, obtaining planning, flipping it on, but also holding onto property. So do a bit of both, because I think that helps both in terms of cash flow, in terms of experience, and it broadens your horizons. But if you buy and hold, the benefit is you've got invest return on your investment coming in every single month. Generally speaking, you won't pay any tax when you finish the project and refinance, because you've not sold anything. So the only tax you pay, depending on whether you own the property in your own name, in this income tax, in a company corporation tax, and then obviously when you sell a property, if it's in your own name, you're paying capital gains tax. Selling it to a company, the company pays corporation tax. Whereas if you buy a property, refurbish it, flip it, any profit or gain you make, you'll have to pay income tax or corporation tax, depending on whether you own it in your own name, a partnership, or a limited company. But I would say do a bit of both. And then the final way you should be looking to diversify is thinking about, are you an active property investor or are you passive? Generally speaking, if you've got one or two or three or a very small portfolio, you could be passive because you buy the properties, you give it to a letting agent. But as your portfolio gets bigger, in my experience, having my own portfolio, which is pretty significant, and also working with lots of clients who have large portfolios, nothing's ever passive. You're still involved with property for different reasons, whether you're financing, whether it's repairs, maintenance, working with agents, working with tenants directly. Making money while you sleep is a fantastic concept. It's not going to work as your portfolio gets bigger. But as your portfolio gets bigger, you can obviously employ people, but then you're still managing those people. So it's not 100% passive. So you can make it passive when you're small. As you get bigger, it will be more active. Now, of course, active has different connotations. If you've got a buy-to-let portfolio of, say, 10 houses or 15 houses, you're not going to be that active compared to if you're doing a commercial conversion, because that requires more work in a short space of time. You're going to be very active. But if you're doing what we're doing in Baker in Boston, building 49 houses, you're going to be even more active, because that project is supposed to finish within 14 months. It might take 4 to 6 weeks longer than that. But I'm even more involved in that than I have been when I've done a commercial conversion for 12 or 20 or 21 units. So the activity required and the time required depends on the type of work that you're doing and how kind of aggressive or regimented you are in terms of finishing the work. So if you haven't got time and you've got a full-time job, then obviously you want to aim for as much passive as you can, in which case obviously single buy-to-let is probably the best way forward until you have enough time to spend more time. If you're looking to make more money in bigger chunks and quicker, then there will be a significant active form required from you in terms of being involved in the property. And the final point for you today is, can you be over diversified? Absolutely. I mean, there's certain things that in property you can kind of hedge, but we can't fully control and manage in terms of interest rates, inflation, if there's a war going on somewhere, which there is at the moment, and if you have a recession, we don't control that per se. So those are things that you're not going to be kind of bulletproof to. But if you've diversified, then at least you've spread the risk. But if you diversify too much and you've got 5, 7, 8, 9 strategies, you're not going to be able to manage them properly, or you're going to struggle to. You're not going to grasp, understand how each strategy works properly. You're not going to be able to commit enough time to that particular strategy, because obviously if you're doing just commercial conversions, then you're always looking at commercial conversion deals. You'll have deal sources who send you commercial conversions. You'll have contractors, subcontractors who help you with commercial conversions. You'll have brokers and lenders who specialize in giving you money for commercial conversions. So you'll build up a good team around you who can help you with that. But if you've got 5 or 6 different strategies, then you need different types of specialists working with and for you, and it's going to be harder for you to manage all that. So I'll say, don't go crazy diversifying and saying, I want 7 different types of property strategies. I'd say Just simply pick 3, 70, 20, 10. Doesn't have to be like that. It could be 95, 5. It could be 80, 10, 10. Could be just 2 with 80, 20. But I'd say at minimum level, have one which is 60, 20, 20, or 60, 30, 10. That will work fine. But if you want to stick to the basic model, then 70, 20, 10 works absolutely fine. Get those 3 working. When they're working, you can always build up and have other additional property strategies. Yeah, the big problem entrepreneurs and property investors have, and I call it a problem because I think it is a problem as opposed to a challenge, is we have this shiny object syndrome. If you want to look at the new innovation, the next best thing, and whenever that comes along, we go on a course or somebody talks about it, or we read it in a book or on YouTube or on social media, we jump on that and think, forget what I'm doing right now, this looks bigger and better. So we then take the focus off what we were doing and we diversify our focus on something else. And those people who are usually chasing the next best idea always end up chasing their tail and don't do as well as those who are focused and commit to and stay in the queue, stay in the line for the things that they are focused on doing. So stay focused, stay in the queue, and do what you've committed to do. You'll be better off in the long run. So that's it for tonight. Those people who wanted to contact me, whether it was Rajesh, Maz, and of course also Ian, who's got my number and my email address, feel free to contact me. Any questions, you can post them here later on or on social media, especially on YouTube. Until next week, bye for now. Bye.